because I saw that you were all excited because you got interviewed by Rolling Stone Columbia.
I was. I mean, it's also really funny because turns out the guy who interviewed me, we went to the same high school, but we didn't know. Like we weren't aware. Like it's such a small world, especially like with Colombians. But I was, because like to me, my album has, it's 70% in English.
Yeah.
And I make music that's not like the standard type of like popular music in Colombia. So for me to like get that validation, you always want like your motherland to like kind of like
Sure.
approve. So that, yeah, that got me extra proud.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
well, I'm curious, what is your relationship with Colombia? Do you go back and forth from there, or have you stayed in the States once you moved there?
No. I go back a lot. My whole family's there. I grew up there. I moved here when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I moved here alone, so I don't have family here. All my family's back there.
Yeah.
So yeah, very much attached.
What caused you to move?
Well, mainly was music, but I didn't even know I wanted to be an artist. I just kind of wanted to study music and live somewhere else.
Right.
I was also like a little bit fed up, like with just like events that had happened. Like this is like, it's dumb, but like cyberbullying stuff, like
Right.
with a lot of misogyny notes to it. And, I was kind of a little fed up, and I felt like I'm always that type of person though. Like I feel like the rooms get too small for me. So, and I even back home, and my city's pretty big, but I was like it's too small now, and I have to move somewhere else. And LA's huge, so far I haven't felt that, but sometimes I do. I've been like considering living in different places like some months out of the year.
Right. Ah.
But yeah, it was mainly music.
Cool. Well, and a lot has happened in the States and all over the world recently. So has that decision, have you had second thoughts about being in the States?
I mean, yeah, actually it's a pretty like if Trump were to stay president, I probably would consider moving.
Right.
It's also like I'm just a spectator on this because I don't vote. I can't vote. I'm not a citizen.
Yep.
So, and I also try to not make it like my entire world. Like I do feel like because I've lived where I lived, and I am from where I'm from, and I did live like 6 months in Canada when I was 16, and like my sister also moved to France. Like we love understanding how global this world is, which is I feel like what's lacking a lot in this country. Like I do feel like racism and homophobia and all these things like are deeply rooted from like fear, because people don't leave this country. Like this country is very like ethnocentric and like very like imperialistic mindset that doesn't allow people to understand that there's such a wide variety of cultures. So I don't know, like I try not to also make it my entire narrative. Like I do feel like the world is very like focused on the US, and I understand it to be like a very, important country.
Yeah.
But like there's also shit going on in my country. So like I understand everyone has their own things, and I try, especially with this last wave of social right movements that's been happening. It's been very inspiring, and I've been like, donating as much as I can, like from my own personal money, but I have not felt comfortable putting like donation charities on my Spotify or Bandcamp, because that's all American stuff, and I don't feel comfortable like with my Colombian listeners, contributing to something when my country also needs a lot of help, and same with people from other countries. So I don't know, I feel like you also get to build your own little micro world where you don't allow, especially with after my immigration process, which was very scarring for me. Like I made the decision, I mean, I'm still highly compassionate and I try to participate as much as I can, but to kind of like have a bit of a bigger say on what I'm gonna allow my reality to be, like how I'm gonna identify myself, like like who I'm gonna allow in, and like what news I'm choosing to read, like what like demons I'm allowing in, because the world is just full of madness right now.
That is a fact. Now, you mentioned how do you identify yourself, and I'm kind of curious because I've interviewed 3 female musicians in the last day or so, and each one of them has taken on a persona. You know, they don't use their given names. They've taken on, and you've done the same thing with the Loyal Lobos thing. Yeah. And I'm wondering, is that a way of hiding behind a name, or does that give you freedom to do more stuff than you would normally do?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, English for me was that as well. Like, my music is very personal, and I did feel a lot safer writing in not my native tongue.
Right.
And Loyal Lobos, yeah, it was for me to like kind of give myself a bit more of a kick and room to feel more comfortable trying new things. I don't know, like, it is, to me, the most challenging thing of being an artist has been the mental games that you play, because it's a lot of highs and lows. It's like one day this one person talks about you and everyone's like hitting you up and congratulating you, and then, you know, you don't put out music for a year and you disappear, and like becoming so dependent on that energy is very dangerous. So like having like me as Andrea Silva with my life separated from like Loyal Lobos, I think it's also like a very helpful tool for me to compartmentalize that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Now, we'll talk about the well, you mentioned the record is 70% in English, and did you consider not doing that, having it all in Spanish or all in English? Or
actually, like, I just kind of went with the songs that I had written. Like, this album took me a really long time to like, from like starting point to release. It was almost 3 years.
Right.
But prior to that, it was almost 2 years. Like, one of those songs, I think that the oldest song in that album I wrote like maybe 2015, 2016, you know? So like, I don't know, like at that period I was writing mostly in English. It felt safer. Also, English is a much simpler, like, it's a much simpler language, because it's more vowely. It's more like simple, like a sentence requires less words.
Right.
Compared to Spanish. And I don't know, I was just having fun with it. But then Spanish started coming, like even lately. I haven't been writing for a while, but I was a few months back, and it was mostly Spanish now that's coming to me. So I don't know, like, I guess it's like whatever. Like, mostly now that I'm writing to songs, I've been starting to write to tracks, which is new to me because I used to just write everything on guitar myself. And I'll like do like an improvising melody, and that has a bit of vowely sounds, and then I'll just be like, oh, that sounds like this word in Spanish, or that sounds like this word in English, and then I'll start building from that.
That's interesting. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And why do you think because it's somewhat obvious that you're kind of guitar based on at least a number of the tracks on the album.
Yeah.
So why are you kind of changing, do you think? Is it just
I feel like I just love, like, I hate staying in one same place.
Right.
So like, that's also for me musically the case. Like, I want to continue to like keep doing different things and trying different things, and writing to tracks was so out of my comfort zone that I felt like, you know, I wanted to try it out, and co-writing was never like a thing I did, and now I'm starting to do it. But then I do like always try to go back to my alone moments with my guitar. Like, it does ground the songs for me a lot, like just to tangibly like feel something that I'm like playing the song along with. So I'm trying to combine both of them.
Yeah, because I would say the nature of the songs on the album, especially the lyrics, kind of lend themselves to you being by yourself. They're very personal, some of them, and very intimate. So
yeah.
Do you find that you have to write differently if you co-write with someone and not kind of access certain parts of you?
That's been my challenge. Like, I only feel comfortable right now writing with one person, who's the guy who produced the album, Evan.
Right. Yep.
And I've tried sessions with other people, and they like start looking at my, you know, phone notes of my lyrics, and I almost like bark at them. Like, I'm so protective of my lyrics. I don't like anybody jumping in and being like, you should say this way, and I'm like, nope. Stay away. But I guess, yeah, I'll just find my people. Like, I'm also like that with everything. Like, I'll trust a few and keep them very close. So I feel like that's kind of how I see this playing out.
Right.
Lyrically, still everything's very personal. Mostly I write all of the lyrics myself.
Yeah.
But melody wise, or like ideas on these things, or maybe rephrasing something that's already written, but I have not yet started a song from scratch collaboratively lyric wise.
I see. Because it's interesting, you have some rather dark lyrics in there, yet the music itself is often very ethereal and kind of dreamlike, and you get kind of a yin and yang thing happen. Is that did you plan on that, or is that just how it naturally evolved?
I feel like just melodies to me always come very sweet, and then my lyrics always come really dark, and I've always liked that. Like, sometimes when my lyrics are matching the sweetness of a melody, I get grossed out, and right. I'm like, no, it's too much, you know. So I either want to say something really pretty with very sad chords, or vice versa. I don't know why. I'm like huge on ratios, even how I eat. Like, if I like, us Colombians, we have like a lot of rice with everything, like on a daily basis. It's like rice, salad, and meat or whatever protein. If I don't have like the same amount of ratio on everything, like I won't finish a plate. Like, I'm weird like that with ratios. So I see the same thing with how I write, or like, I'm like very picky with very random things. And like with music, I always see it that way. I like, even the new things writing to tracks, what I've struggled with is like when it sounds like too vanilla or too like sweet. I'm like, that can't be me. I feel like embarrassed almost, you know?
Do you listen to much sweet music, or do you listen to fairly dark music?
I don't listen to music constantly. I'll have periods where I'll really listen and then I'll completely stop.
Yeah.
Right now I'm in a stop period.
Right.
But lately I was listening, mostly, it's not like dark stuff, but the kind of music that I like, and I'm pretty eclectic on like genres, it's just like, if I feel raw, genuine emotion on a song, and even if it's like a reggaeton, like dirty song, like if I believe it, right. I'm so in on it, you know?
Right.
But I'll listen to like reggaeton and then like Debussy, and then like, I don't know, Madonna. Like I go really random, like on music listening.
Now, your album has been out for a week now.
Yeah.
And of course, it's kind of a strange time to do anything, let alone put a record out. How has it been this past week? How do you feel the reaction has been, and how are you reacting to it?
I feel like a part of me was amputated.
Oh no.
It feels really weird. Yeah. But it's been great. Like, to me, it's crazy how like a song is yours, especially the kind of music that I write. It's so personal. It's so mine. And then I'll put it out and it'll become the listener's song, you know, and like whatever experience of their own it can relate to. So like now it's feel like it's not mine anymore, and I'm happy with it. Yep. It's just like there's a void for sure, because it took me so long to put this out that you almost end up identifying with the struggle or the challenge.
Sure.
And now that it's out, you're like, now what? You know, like, now what am I gonna do? And everyone's like, go back to the studio, go back to the studio. But it becomes more and more intimidating, you know, because before, like, I did have an EP out and stuff, but I was still a very much like unknown underground type of like artist. And with this album, I feel like an album is such a statement of a piece of work. It's different of a commitment than an EP.
Yeah.
So now, like, I feel like I need to top that album, and I love that album. So I'm like, I don't even want to compete with it. I don't know. I've been like tripping about it.
Have you gotten much feedback from fans, people who have bought the album and somehow connect with you?
Yeah, that's like really new to me. Even also people that have been reaching out that want to collaborate with me. I'm like, really? Like, did you get the right number? Because I'm not used to like people like hitting me up about stuff, and I was pretty comfortable with that. it almost felt more comfortable knowing that maybe not much people were gonna hear it, because then I felt more safe to just put stuff out.
Right.
Now, like, I have been getting, like, some people reach out to me directly, and that to me has been the most gratifying part of it. It's also like, it's very curious to see how people read it, like read the songs or analyze them or feel them. And most of them is kind of what I intended for the songs to be. So that's just to me the biggest win.
Right.
And like, even people that don't speak Spanish and will hear a song in Spanish, like they'll get the feeling through like the sound and the aesthetic of it. So that has had me very happy for sure.
Right. And so releasing an album will probably open some doors for you and make people more aware that you're here and doing your thing, which possibly could lead to you working with other people. Is there somebody in particular you'd be interested in collaborating with on the next record?
I don't know yet, because I don't know which songs the next record will have, but I do have a few singles that I'm trying to put out and definitely want to have other artists on. There's one specific that it's like a Colombian like novela song Statement that I covered.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know who I would have, like what my possibilities are, but someone like Nati Peluso, who's an Argentinian like R&B / a little bit of rapper singer, or Kali Uchis or someone like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But for the album itself, I don't know yet, but I would probably want something that is completely like opposite, you know, like a very aggressive rapper on a very sad song, or like, I don't know, something like very random would be the most like exciting thing for me to try out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what are your, obviously you can't perform live in front of an audience these days because nobody can. When you do, what are your live performances like? Do you play with a band? Is it just you? And how do you interact?
Usually when I can afford a band, which like either flights or commuting or stuff, I'll take a band. And we used to have a 3-piece, so it was a drummer, I was on rhythm guitar, and a lead guitarist, and we had backing tracks for the bass and other synths. But my first tour, I did it with Evan, my producer, who is like my favorite guitar player. So it was just a duo set with a 404 old like SPD like drum machine that we put the backing tracks on, and he would put on like big can headphones and play guitar, and we'd perform a duo set, and that was also a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you mentioned Evan, and he's co-produced the album with you. What is it about him that he's the guy that you want to work with?
When I met him, and we met through like a mutual friend that we were both collaborating with, I don't know, we just clicked right away. He's like the opposite of me. Like,
you
I'm
like
all
opposites.
over the place. Yes, I love opposites. That's my keyword, I guess. Yeah, he's like, I don't know, like, I'm all over the place type person, and he's like the most center, like Buddhist type dude.
Right.
But we connected, like we were at the studio working for this other project, and we were coming up almost with the same melody lines from rooms apart where we couldn't hear each other. And the guy we were actually collaborating with was supposed to produce my first album, but he was like being all like flaky and stuff, and I was like so annoyed, because I was like, I needed to make that album so badly. I had the concept in mind, like I really wanted to just get going.
Yeah, you need somebody focused to work with.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm very intense, like opposites again. Like, I'll either not do shit for 3 months and just like binge watch like Married at First Sight or like Marrying Millions or like the trashiest TV shows ever.
Right.
Or I'll be like on the studio nonstop, like obsessed with the songs, listening to them over and over and over, making notes, like revising, like constantly.
Yeah.
And Evan's been like such a good neutralizer for me for that, because like I gave him so much shit like with these songs, and I was so intense on them, and it was just a great balance, just personally and creatively, because we're also very different. Like, and I think that's the magic of the album for me. Like, just its character and its personality. It's Evan and I being able to come together and, you know, like rather than fight each other, just kind of create a sound of its own. Like a lot of like the Cocteau Twinsy, like dreamy psychedelic stuff. That's his guitar playing, which is what I was the most in love with when I first like saw him play. And you know, and then, you know, the bones of the songs, it's me, like the tone and the vocals and all the harmony layers, I feel like goes so well with his guitars. Like I'm all about harmonies. I love creating like vocal layers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I feel very lucky that we crossed our paths.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Now we haven't spoken specifically much about any of the tracks on the record, so I was thinking maybe since it's been a while since you started the thing and that now it's out for a little bit, is there any particular track that you feel differently about or that stands out for you personally on the record that you want to talk about?
Spring 17 has always been the like little hidden gem for me because it wasn't an obvious single. But I wanted to keep it in the album because to me it's like one of the most exciting tracks to discover, and it's like pretty early on the album. Just like how instrumentally that song was developed, because it doesn't have even that much, like it does have like a strong lyric and stuff, but like there's really long instrumental sections that I feel like were really powerful to me. And I don't know, just like the concept of that song is a lot simpler. Like the amount of words, like it repeats more, but it like reiterates in one subject. And I don't know, that one came together very simply and quickly, and then it developed sonically to a whole nother level. And it's one of the most like fun songs to play live, just because like that instrumental section becomes so like emotional and like energetic. Right. So yeah, I'd say that one, because I've been touring this album for a year before I put it out.
Right. So, you know, usually they do it the other way around, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I do it my way, you know.
Yeah. Love it. Well, so do you have a plan? Is there any way to plan what you're going to do next at this point, or to promote the album, to write the next one, yeah?
No, my discipline is like destroyed with this pandemic, but I'm starting to itch to go back to it. Like I'm definitely gonna start going to the studio next week.
Right.
Also like recollecting, like the album originally had 20 songs. Some of them didn't make it that I really love. So I do want to like do a little CPR on those and hopefully put them out. There's like 2 that are especially like very dear to me that I really want to release.
Oh, great.
And then I have a bunch of new material. I just gotta like if I'm not in the right mindset, I don't even want to listen to my music because I think it could be so detrimental.
Right.
So I've been waiting and not listening, and hopefully soon I get to like listen back and be like, oh, this is actually sick, and we'll have a second album soon.